Welcome, everybody, back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. It is just me, your host, Adam Cousins, and I'm here with the Collision. No, it's not me saying it twice for any reason other than I'm calling this the Collision going forward. If you don't like it, sue me, as I tweeted out earlier. AEW Collision this week was from Salt Lake City, Utah. On tap for the episode, we had Eddie Kingston defending the Ring of Honor World Championship against Komander. Bryan Danielson against Carl Fletcher, and FTR versus Big Bill and Ricky Starks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. As usual, Collision started with their brilliant video package. I absolutely love it. We say it on this show week in, week out, but that video package they do at the start is absolutely tremendous. And they were talking to the competitors of some of the night's matches, and it was brilliant. We then go straight into the AEW World Tag Team Championships, FTR and Ricky Starks and Big Bill. We always say on this show, start the show hot. AEW started the show off with a shocking match. Not shocking because it was bad, shocking because of the result. FTR dropped the AEW World Tag Team titles to Big Bill and Ricky Starks in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Dax Harwood takes all of the punishment, pretty much. And Ricky Starks and Big Bill pick up the win with the spear from Ricky Starks. And that is it. I mean, what happened here? There was a big buzz on social media because Dax tweeted, it's been a hell of a run. Top guys out. People were saying, are they leaving? No, they've signed 4-year contracts. Two things it could be: time off. Maybe they want some leave. Or Cash has got his court case potentially coming up for the firearms incident. So it could just be that. Either way, new World Tag Team Champions, massive surprise to kick off Collision with shocked was the word when I couldn't believe what I was watching. But that sometimes that's what makes good wrestling. The big surprise. Did anyone expect it? No. Is it a welcome surprise? I think we'll see going forward what happens. Who do they defend to next? It was interesting because they were still kind of feuding with the BCC, the Blackpool Combat Club, at this point. So they switched to FDR, annihilate them. So where do they go from here? Do we revisit the feud with the BCC? What a way to start Collision. Big kudos to AEW for that. I really, really enjoyed it. And just a big surprise, which is sometimes the best thing. The next match, Bryan Danielson, Carl Fletcher. Can you just let them go for an hour and I will just happily sit there and watch? This match was absolutely outstanding. Bryan Danielson is on. He's probably his last year run as an active competitor in AEW or in his career. If you seeing what he said about his child, he said he would stop wrestling when she's 7 and she's 6 now, so they've got a year. This match was unbelievable. If you didn't know how good Carl Fletcher was on his own, you do now. He's one of the reasons Will Ospreay took him on as part of the United Empire, and this match just goes to prove it. What an absolute banger. If you go out your way to watch any match this week, make sure it's that match from AEW on Collision. Brilliant match. Dragon Sleeper was locked in by Fletcher at the end. Danielson rolls through and catches Fletcher with a European clutch for the win. Unbelievable, this. Danielson was literally slightly outmoving Carl Fletcher. You've got to remember, Carl Fletcher's only 24 years old. Crazy. The Gates of Agony then hit the ring to attack Danielson. Now, that's because great storytelling here. Wednesday, Danielson takes on Swerve Strickland, and the winner of that is the next in line for a TNT title shot against Christian Cage. So they hit the ring to beat down Danielson ahead of that. And of course, that means that Wheeler, Yuta, and Moxley make the save, and they threw out the Gates of Agony. Now, that could potentially set up a tag match with Yuta and Moxley taking on the Gates of Agony. It could be Yuta and Claudio, Moxley and Claudio. Either way, that could separate them. So to concentrate on Swerve and Danielson on Wednesday, which is all the choice. Tuesday this week, it goes head-to-head with a loaded NXT on Tuesday. And the Swerve and Danielson match has every way of being an absolute banger. Perhaps AEW will start off with that match on Tuesday night, because that is going to be an amazing, amazing contest. Next, it was the Bang Bang Gang, the Guns and Juice against Angelico, Metalik, and Gravity. Gravity still makes me laugh with the whole walk that he does. It was this match it was what you would normally expect. Luchadors being luchadors, the Guns and Juice being the Bullet Club that they are. It was a good match. The winners was never really in doubt. Lots of high flying. Ultimately, there was a blind tag, and it was a headlock driver by Juice to end it. The winners were never in doubt. The growth of the Gun Club, though, this year has been amazing. And you look at the Guns as a prime example. They dropped away from Daddy Arse, Billy Gunn, to sort of make their own careers, and they've aligned with two people that perfect really for them in Juice Robinson and Jay White as their Bullet Club Gold. And the sky really is the limit for all four of those. Juice Robinson is very much underrated in that, not only because he's got a comical side of him, but he's also an absolute lunatic. So for me, they're the four people that AEW should build around, especially on Collision. Now they haven't got CM Punk. Jay White was there as well, and obviously he says the Hangman. He did make you laugh. He's got Hangman Page. Again, that's going to be another brilliant match on Tuesday. And he did say he was going to be a non-title, because if you watch Dynamite, he nicks MJF's title after the beatdown. He basically says this Tuesday is going to be a non-title match with Hangman. Well, it's going to be a non-title match for a lot of reasons, predominantly because he hasn't got the title to win, but a fantastic match on that one. Loved it. And Tuesday's match should be brilliant. Next was the World's Trios Championships, the Acclaimed and Daddy Arse against the Iron Savages with Jacked Jameson. There really was no, in this match, there really was no, it was obvious who was going to win this. There was no surprise that the Acclaimed retained their titles with the mic drop. But I'm liking the Iron Savages the more I see of them. And this is maybe what they're looking to do with Collision. Is bring back a lot of the people who you don't see a lot of. The Iron Savages, Bear Bronson and all those guys, and give them a bit more Boulder, Bronson and Boulder, wherever they are. Give them a bit more exposure and give them some matches. They're not winning matches at the moment, but giving them the TV time exposure to get them out there, to get them noticed, and eventually they'll be pushed up higher up the card. Probably what they used to do on Dark and Elevation. You used to get the Sun. I know Sunny Kiss ain't there anymore, but she used to be a regular on the program, and I think these guys used to be on the program as well. So get them up there, maybe for a Ring of Honor run initially, but it was still a good run for the Iron Savages. Another good match. So those matches will always help, but I do think it's time that Acclaimed got some real opposition, and I'm looking at what I just said earlier on. I'm thinking, is it time for the Guns and Juice to set their sights on the Acclaimed and Daddy Arse, and perhaps that will be the feud, and potentially Bullet Club Gold could have all the gold at some point in AEW. That would be a very, very interesting story that I'd like to see. There was a package with Shane Taylor and Keith Lee. Basically, the Ring of Honor feud will be carrying on to AEW. So it will be interesting to see how that one pans out. Next was Timeless Toni Storm against Kiera Hogan. Listen, the timeless Toni Storm character is one of the funniest at the moment in wrestling, and she does this brilliantly. We spoke about this, me and Andy, on the Dynamite review that we done yesterday. It was hilarious, and her character, she's portraying this Marilyn Monroe type character. She plays it to absolute perfection. That character, and this match, again, it was a general run-of-the-mill match. Again, you kind of knew who was going to win this match. The running hip attack into the corner for the Storm Zero to win. A good showing, though, by both women on this. But again, there was no real surprise with this particular match. Kind of the running theme, apart from the opening contest where it was a huge surprise. The rest you had an inkling of who was going to win, and you would be right on that. But still a very good match, a good outing, and Toni Storm continues to be and one of the most entertaining characters in wrestling at the minute. And Kiera Hogan, the future's still bright for her. She may be going back to Ring of Honor or do some more stuff on Collision. And again, it's about exposure, getting them the TV time, getting them out there. I will say this before we go into the main event. And it's something that we touched on Fastlane review that we just done, myself and Andy just done, was the attendance for this AEW show. It was around 2,500 fans. Now, the big issue that they had, 2,500 fans isn't exactly bad, but when you book an arena that holds 12,000 and you sell 2,500 tickets, granted, they didn't open up a lot of the venue for tickets, but the problem that you have is it looks a lot bad or a lot worse than what it would normally look. If you sold 2,500, 3,000 tickets in a 5,000 seat arena, it would look full. When you sell 2,500, 3,000 tickets in a 12,000 seat arena, it looks as bad as what the pictures and the videos that are surfacing on social media look like. And it looked really bad. And it looked really bad predominantly because, like I just said, you sold a quarter of the stadium out, and 3/4 is empty. So I think AEW may need to start booking the smaller venues just so it looks more full, if that makes sense. And I don't mean that negatively or in a horrible way for AEW. I just think that booking these big stadiums, or not big, booking these, arenas or ice hockey stadiums and not opening up sections and only selling sort of a quarter of it looks a lot bad than what it should be. So perhaps maybe start booking smaller venues initially just to get the crowd in there and get the feel. Because if you sell out a 3, 4, 5,000 seat stadium or 5,000 seat arena and the crowd makes the noise, it will still generate and it will still sound a lot louder for people watching at home. So perhaps food for thought, so to speak. As we move into the main event, Eddie Kingston and Komander. This was a real clash of styles. Komander won a match on Rampage, which I think it was a 4-way match on Rampage, which led him to getting the shot at Eddie Kingston. Stokely Hathaway didn't want people smelling like, he's champion, smelling of Burger King and Newports. This match was good, but it felt like a struggle. And I think it felt like a struggle because the clash of styles, Komander, the luchador, Kingston, just a smash mouth, fighter. So I think, it felt like a little bit of a struggle. But again, it's probably what you're going to get a lot with Kingston as champion here. But the difference is, I suppose, with it, and to sort of spin that around into a positive, it's kind of different to what you're going to get on AEW at the minute with the other matches they show. So perhaps it ain't such a bad thing, or it ain't as bad as what it portrays to be when you have the Kingston and Komander, or Kingston against the luchador. But it did feel awkward at times. But I don't think it was awkward in a bad way, if that makes sense, or it felt like a struggle, but not necessarily a bad struggle. Anyway, the match ends with Komander eating a Eddie Kingston back fist for the win. Eddie Kingston retains, which wasn't a surprise. And the code of honor is adhered to as Kingston and raises Komander's arm, shakes his hand. The last piece of what happened on Collision, out comes Adam Copeland, aka Edge again, to really continue what's happened on Dynamite. And he was just basically saying the same kind of thing that he was saying before. Christian's not taking his calls and he's a dick. Christian's in his Bond villain phase, which makes Nick Wayne his hairless and Persian cat. And Copeland just wants answers. He wants to know what's going on. And he wants Christian to come out. But Christian doesn't come out. He's on the big screen. He said Copeland doesn't call the shots. Christian comes and goes as he please, and he'll be there on Tuesday. But will Copeland make it to Tuesday? And then enter Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne. Initially Copeland fights. The Moth hits the DDT on Nick Wayne. He goes for the spear, but Luchasaurus catches him with the choke slam. And then hits the extension, Northern Lariat from behind. He tries to set up a concerto on Copeland. Darby Allin comes back, returns, hits him with a chair. He drills Luchasaurus, but it also spears Wayne, albeit briefly, allowing Luchasaurus to provide the distraction. Wayne hits a shotgun dropkick. Luchasaurus takes off the brace on Darby Allin's right arm and hits the concerto on on Darby Allin to end the show. Actually, this show was really wrestling heavy, which is nice. There was some nice elements of additional storylines going on as well at the same time. As I said before, big surprise to start off the show with new tag team champions. But the TNT title is taking the centerpiece now of Collision, and perhaps going forward, that's where we're going to be seeing a lot of the TNT title. And I don't mind that, because obviously you've got the MJF World Heavyweight Championship on Dynamite predominantly, although he has been on Collision, but maybe now the TNT was going to be taking place of the real World Championship that CM Punk used to have. So very interesting show, wrestling heavy, which is nice. It's nice to have a show that's got a lot of wrestling in it. And really interestingly, going forward, what happens to the tag titles? Copeland will make it to Tuesday against his match against Luchasaurus, but the TNT title will be taking center stage on Collision going forward, in my opinion. And it wraps up another review show. Guys, thank you so much for listening, watching, hearing, whatever you're doing on this show. It means a lot to us that you've subscribed onto YouTube. Just type in Hitting the Turnbuckle Podcast, Twitter at HTT Buckle, Instagram at Hitting the Turnbuckle Podcast, same with Facebook, same with TikTok. Just go on there, see us, watch us, listen to us, do whatever you want. But it'd be nice if you commented to let us know what you think of the show as well. But this has been the Collision. I have been your host, Adam Cousins. Until probably tomorrow, everybody. Buckle down, stay safe.